بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم magacayga waa Kawthar Muuse waxaan idinka soo salaameynaa maantay oo subax ay tahay jimceen Saturday ah shaqeeyaa TV maanta waxa martino ah Terri Jamison oo ah judge ku fadhiya kursiga 10aad ee maxkamadda qaybta Complice-ka sharaf bay noo tahay inay maanta soo booqato Judge Terri Jamison waxay u ordaysaa sida ogtihiinba inay u cararto Supreme Court Justice of Supreme Court of Ohio waxay rabtaa inay kursigaas ay hesho insha Allah biidnillah doorashadan November 8 oo muddo ay socotay primary-gi waxaan rajaynaynaa in aan weydiino su'aalo soo socda si aan wax uga barano marka soo dhawaada dhamaantiin. Please tell us about yourself.
First, my name is Terri Jamison. I would describe myself as a person of faith that believes in excellence and who works diligently and toward making equal justice for everyone, the law. I'm married. My husband and I have 3 sons, 6 grandsons, 2 granddaughters, and 1 great-granddaughter.
Can you please tell us which office are you running for?
I'm running for the Ohio Supreme Court. I'm running because our democracy is on the ballot this year. If with the win of my election, there will be 4 Democrats and 3 Republicans on the Supreme Court. Redistricting or reapportionment of the districts is going to come back up on the ballot. If there is a contest or an objection to the maps that have been drawn, that will come back to the Supreme Court. And it's really important that we have districts that are proportioned so that they are competitive and allow our communities to have representatives that are like them. For this season, this is the first time we've ever had 2 Somali Americans on the ballot in Franklin County. We have an Asian American woman on the ballot. We have a Latino woman on the ballot. So having the districts drawn properly gives us those competitive districts where when you run, you have an actual chance of winning and representing your community. The other reason is because there are more minorities involved in the criminal justice than there are Caucasian. And it's really important that we get the criminal sentencing database through. You need 4 justices to vote to take the criminal sentencing database through. And what that database does is collect data to see whether or not minorities, poor people, or other ethnicities are treated differently in the criminal justice system. That's important. And it's really important that we upgrade the education of our interpreters and the interpreter certification that you need through the Supreme Court. And it also governs the admission of those who want to practice law in the state of Ohio and governs the discipline of lawyers in the state of Ohio. It answers all constitutional questions and any other questions of law that are of great general interest to the public.
Why do you think people will vote for you?
Well, Mr. Fisher, Justice Fisher, has made statements comparing Roe versus Wade to slavery. He's made statements that he is a proponent for different things that have been negative to our communities. It's really critical that we have justices on the court with integrity that treat everyone the same and are not just bigoted toward our communities and actually discriminating against us as a race of people. His statements have been inflammatory, they've been racist, and he is not the type of person that should sit on the highest court of this state when he's already making and giving opinions about a group of people before they ever come to the court.
Tell us some of the best achievements you have made in your career.
One of the best achievements I've made in my career was starting a program that's called Compass. Compass was to take men and women to success, men and women that had dropped out of school, didn't have employment, driver's license were suspended by child support, not understanding the impact that not paying their child support could have on their lives. So in Compass, I collaborated with community organizations and brought them into the court to work with men and women that owed child support but did not have the ability to pay. Through that program, we save taxpayer dollars, and we also divert men and women away from the jail by allowing them to go through training and education opportunities so that they can take care of their own children and not sit in jail and then come back out still without a job, still without the opportunity to take care of their families. So that program was very important to me. It saved hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of time. And in 2017, I received an award from the National Association of Counties for that program. And because I brought in interns from Ohio State University's social work program in 2020, I received an award from the National Association of Social Workers.
In case you win, what changes will you bring to the court?
First of all, it'll be the first time in history that you would have 2 black justices on the Ohio Supreme Court. I would be the first black woman elected to the office of justice from Franklin County. And I bring a wide variety of experience. I've been a judge on the Domestic Relations and Juvenile Court for 8.5 years. I was a hearing officer for the state of Ohio, hearing unemployment compensation appeals. I'm currently a judge on the Ohio Court of Appeals for the 10th District. I bring the experience of being an underground coal miner and a member of the United Mine Workers of America. I bring the experience of being a small business owner, owning and operating my own business for 16 years. So I bring a wide variety of experience to this position that my opponent cannot say he brought. He didn't serve on a trial court. He did not do hearing officer work. He was a lawyer, yes, but he only practiced in one area. I've practiced in criminal, juvenile, domestic, and probate court at the trial and the appellate level. So I bring experience, I bring innovativeness, I bring the ability to see a problem and to come up with a solution to make our courts more equitable, more fair, and to make sure that you come to court, have your voice heard, get a decision that's based soundly on the law with integrity and fairness every level of the way.
I hear from the community, when candidates are looking for a vote, they come to the community, but after the election, they never come back. What makes you different from them?
I'm very different from those candidates. I've been to many different events within the Somali community in particular. I was at the breast cancer awareness event. I've also been in contact with the women's groups. I've been at your Independence Day. I've been there when you had your presidential election celebrations. I've been with the community for a number of years, and have developed friendships within the community.
Finally, what's your message for the community? What do you want to remind them?
Coming from this side, being a black woman in America, our right to vote is only given to us through the Civil Rights Voting Act. When you come to this country, you have the privileges that many of our ancestors died for us to have. In the 1950s and the 1960s, men and women were marching for the right to vote. They were turned away because they couldn't count the number of beans in a jar. They were turned away because they didn't pay poll taxes. They were turned away because they couldn't read or they were illiterate. And they were turned away. We had men and women that marched across the George Pettus Bridge, now called the John Lewis Bridge, I believe, where Congresswoman John Lewis was beaten almost to an inch of his life. Medgar Evers was shot down. Martin Luther King was shot down. We've lost so many of our civil rights leaders who fought for this right to vote. And for you come to this country, you get naturalized as a citizen, you automatically got that right. But for some of us, like me, who grew up in West Virginia in segregation, where all the blacks lived over on the other side of the track and the whites lived on the other side, and going to black schools, then going through integration of schools. For me, it's personal, and I take a privilege and count it a privilege to be able to vote, because so many people died for this right. And you should exercise your vote, because your vote is your voice. If you don't vote, others make decisions for you, and they make decisions that are in their best interest. When we have competitive districts and you vote, then you make decisions for yourself. And when it comes to these issues that are on the ballot, issue 1 would take away from the Supreme Court the right to do bail and bond, which affects black men, black women disproportionately, and it affects our rights to bail out while we're waiting to go to court. It affects the rights to have co-equal branches of government that do a check and a balance on each other. If you vote for issue 1, then the legislature will be in charge of bail and bond, and they'll take that out of the Constitution and give it to the legislature. If you vote no, the Supreme Court will be able to continue to maintain their job to set bail and bond and to set rules around bail and bond to make sure that it's not the poor, that it's not the brown, that it's not the black just being held in jail because they can't afford a cash bond. If you vote yes for issue 2, you'll stop men and women that have green cards, work visas, from being able to vote in local elections. If you vote no, then they will be able to vote in local elections on issues around school levies, issues around funding for senior citizen programs, those kind of things that are local and part of your local government. You would have those opportunities. So it's time for us to make choices that are in our best interest and have men and women on the bench that reflect the diversity of the community and have had some of the same struggles and problems that you have and are not on the court to protect the big business and to protect special interest groups.
Thank you so much. We are so happy to have you today, and I'm so happy to be with you this morning for this interview. We hope to see you again, and I wish you best